The Galactic Combat Academy had trained warriors from 700 species across 4 spirals of the galaxy. In its 3,000-year history, no cadet had ever achieved a elimination time under 10 seconds in the proving grounds. The record belonged to a Krathax champion, a creature of pure muscle and reflexes honed by evolution on a death world where gravity crushed, bones and predators moved like living bullets. Cadet Kiza stepped into the arena with nothing but standard-issue combat gear and a face that betrayed no emotion. Commander Thexel, a towering Vordanian with scales like obsidian plates, watched from the observation deck alongside other instructors. His 4 eyes narrowed as the human female took her position. Humans were still a novelty here, their admission to the academy only 5 cycles old. They were weak by galactic standards, fragile, slow. The human will last 30 seconds, Thexal announced. No more. Beside him, Instructor Calyx, a crystalline being who communicated through harmonic frequencies, thrummed disagreement. She had watched Kiza in tactical simulations. There was something about the way humans processed combat scenarios, a creativity that bordered on madness. The target materialized. A Shrax combat drone, programmed with the fighting algorithms of 100 dead champions. It moved like liquid death, 6 limbs equipped with plasma cutters that could slice through starship hull plating. Kiza didn't move. The drone circled, sensors analyzing her heat signature, her breathing calculating attack vectors. The gallery held its breath. 200 cadets from across the stars watching the human stand motionless while certain death evaluated her. Then it struck. The drone blurred forward, a movement so fast most species couldn't even track it. Plasma cutters ignited, carving the air where Kiza's throat had been a microsecond before. But she wasn't there. She had dropped, twisted, used the drone's own momentum against it. Her hand found the neural disruptor at her belt, not the preferred weapon, not the powerful one, but the fastest, 3.7 seconds. That's how long it took Kiza to plant the disruptor against the drone's central processor core and fire. The machine collapsed mid-strike, its systems catastrophically overloaded, sparks fountaining from its joints. The arena fell silent. Kiza stood over the smoking wreckage, chest rising and falling in controlled breaths, and walked calmly toward the exit. Impossible, Thexel breathed. Run the footage, frame by frame. They watched it 17 times. Each viewing revealed something new. The way Kiza had read the drone's attack pattern from its initial positioning, how she'd anticipated not where it was but where it would be, the economy of her movement that wasted not a single muscle fiber. She had fought like someone who knew death intimately, who had evolved in its shadow. How? Calyx chimed, harmonics tinged with wonder. A human instructor, Nick, stood in the back of the observation deck. He had been a special operations soldier before joining the academy staff, one of the first humans to make contact with the Galactic Council. He understood what the others didn't. Earth, he said quietly. You want to know how she did that? Let me tell you about Earth. The instructors turned to face him. We don't have exoskeletons or natural armor. We don't have venom or claws or telepathic abilities. What we have is a planet that's been trying to kill us since we climbed down from the trees. Nick's voice carried the weight of species memory. Predators that hunted us in the dark. Diseases that wiped out civilizations. Ice ages. Droughts. We survived by being smart, adaptable, and absolutely ruthless when we needed to be. He pulled up a holographic display, images of Earth's history. Ancient humans running down prey for hours until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. Soldiers in trenches fighting wars that consumed entire generations. Explorers venturing into hostile environments with primitive tools and sheer determination. Every human child plays games that simulate hunting and being hunted. We call it tag. We tell our children stories about monsters and teach them to face fear. We're a species that looks at impossible odds and asks, how do I win, instead of, can I survive? By nightfall, the story had spread through the academy like wildfire. Cadets from every corner of the galaxy whispered about the human who had broken the unbreakable record. They spoke of Earth, the death world that forged a species without natural weapons into one of the most dangerous predators the galaxy had ever seen. But it was in the combat preparation room where the name was born. Kiza sat alone, cleaning her equipment with methodical precision. A group of Krathax cadets entered, the same species that had held the previous record. Their leader, a massive warrior named Grexithar, approached her cautiously. "You moved like shadow," he said in the grinding Krythak's tongue, his translator rendering it into standard galactic. Like death itself whispered where to step and you listened. Kiza looked up, meeting his eyes without flinching. In that gaze, Grexithar saw something that made his combat instincts scream. Not malice or aggression, but the cold calculation of someone who understood that violence was a tool, not an emotion. "On Earth," Kiza said softly, "we have a saying. Speak softly and carry a big stick. I prefer to carry a neural disruptor and not speak at all." Grexithar nodded slowly, then thumped his chest in the Krythak's gesture of respect. As he left, he turned to his companions. "Death Whisper," he said. "That is what we shall call her." The name stuck. Within a week, every combat instructor had reviewed Kiza's performance. Within a month, human combat doctrine became a mandatory study subject. The Galactic Council began to understand that they had not simply admitted another species to their alliance, they had welcomed apex predators who had spent millennia perfecting the art of war. Nick watched Kiza train in the weeks that followed, pushing herself harder than any cadet should. He saw in her what he recognized in every human soldier he'd ever served with. That peculiar human trait of never being satisfied with good enough, of always reaching for impossible. "You know they're afraid of you now," he said one evening as she finished a grueling exercise routine. Kiza smiled, the expression not reaching her eyes. "Good, fear keeps you sharp. My grandfather taught me that before he died. He was a Marine, fought in the corporate wars. What else did he teach you? That humans are scariest when they're calm. That we're the only species that looks at something designed to kill us and figures out how to kill it back." She paused, staring at her reflection in the polished metal wall. "That we've been fighting since we discovered fire and we'll keep fighting until the stars go cold." Nick nodded. He thought about humanity's bloody history, about the countless wars and the hard lessons learned, about a species that had clawed its way from the caves to the stars through sheer, stubborn determination. "They named you Death Whisper," he said. "I know." Kiza's smile turned genuine this time. "I think Grandpa would have liked that." In the vast expanse of the Galactic Academy, where warriors from ancient civilizations trained in arts perfected over millennia, a human cadet had reminded them all of a simple truth. The most dangerous predator isn't always the strongest or the fastest. Sometimes, it's the one that learned to survive on a world where everything wanted it dead. The end.